Morning, right, I've got a bag full of Titleist irons here, so I'm going to talk about today out of the new releases of irons, so T100, 200 and 300, which ones might suit your game, which ones would you maybe think of comboing. Remember, in the latest release of Titleist irons, CBMB, so your bladed options, they're staying, they're not changing. We're going to look at the T100, 200, 300, what's new about them, what are Titleist saying about them, what do I think about them. So the three irons, 200, 100 and 300, there's also a 100S, which we'll briefly talk about as well. As you'd imagine, we're definitely seeing a stepping up in the thickness of the top lines. 100 this year is definitely very, very clean and thin. Maybe making the 200 look a little bit more like the everyday club out of the three. Remember, you've got, like I say, the T100S, it looks exactly the same as this. It would sit really in the same slot of this. It's just slightly stronger lofted, so you might put it this side, but I mean, I wouldn't. I'd put it literally on top of this club in the set. And down by the ball, we see a slight appearance of more offset, as these are 5 irons I'm going to hit here, so the 300 having the most offset, as you would expect, trying to help with little bits of launches and those ideas, maybe face closure rates, subject to how you release and what have you. That's so like one of those things that you can override very easily. What's interesting is the 200 and the 100. The 100 is definitely more slender. The 200, I think this year, and let me know in the comments down below if you've seen these or when you try them, I do feel like the 200 might just overtake, but then maybe it won't, because people just love this classic kind of blend of 100 where it's that kind of blade players club to, you know, with help. It's just the 200 top line I think is more neutral, where the 100 is on the slender side. I like that. I just think lots of golfers might find that a little scary. The thing with the 200 that might put people off is it is more of a solid back, where the 100 has that kind of classic Titleist, you know, going back to AP looks. Where I don't know if that puts some people off because it's just not classic. We'll talk about the tech in all three. Let's kick it off by hitting 3 5 irons up here and see where they end up, obviously subject to my mishits. 100 definitely classic, looks great. Down by the ball does look blade slim, more than the one before I think, and certainly it looks close to their bladed options. Lovely sound, lovely feel, exactly what you would expect from this kind of club. Just sounds and feels beautiful. 200 next, like I say, this side, I think looking down here, it's just delicious. Post in the comments down below, what about the fact that it is almost like a hollow body look? Does that put you off or not? Let's see if we feel any difference. Little bit of offset, but not offensive. Does look brilliant. That top line down there does just look really, really good. It's a slightly different sound, but that's one shot. We'll hit more to see if that continues. That has gone further up. We'll look at the lofts as well. Yeah, we'll hit more with that one. It did feel, it's a different kind of duller sound. You kind of get this funny sound from the back of it, which is obviously just a plate. I almost want to take that off. Now the 300, it looks the most muscly. Down, when you look down, it's got the most offset. I'm going to aim a little further right here, otherwise I will block out with my second. Oh, that felt nice, really nice. It does feel strong and powerful, and again, that one looks like it's moving up. We will look at the numbers as we go. I mean, I love all three of them. They look great. I mean, I am using more powery bats now. The T300 there, that felt good for something that is pretty muscular. Right, let's get up there and find out where all these have gone. As I do that, why don't we have a quick look at what Titleist say about these clubs, who they're for, and a bit about the tech. So T100 is a better player iron who's looking for precision, control and unrivaled feel. It's a modern tour iron, they say. So what happens is they put tungsten in the longer irons down to 7 iron, and then 8 iron down they remove that. It's all about shaping, looks and feel. It's a fully forged dual cavity supported face construction. Then you've got the T100S as well. It's a faster tour iron, so it's everything the other one's got. It's just stronger lofted basically, so you do get, rather than having to bend the club, you get the option for a stronger club, where if you do bend them, you'll start affecting how offset looks, those kind of things. T200, Titleist say the player who wants distance help without sacrificing looks, feel, trajectory or stopping power. It's a shorter blade length, less offset. So same as T100, which is interesting. I saw it as different, but it's the same. Narrower top line, thinner sole. They've got max impact 2.0, new core support design, high resilience polymer core, forged high core sub 10L face. It's a multi-material body. Also got tungsten weighting to try and get those MOIs and CG placements perfect. Then the T300, the player who wants high launch, long distance and forgiveness they can count on, is what Titleist say. Lovely, I'll count on that. So shape, it's mid-sized, fast cavity back design, 40% more tungsten, improved CG placement, optimal launch spin, enhanced MOI, updated max impact technology, maximizes ball speed and launch with improved feel, which is that little dot thing on the back, chrome plated for premium look. And then there's a higher density tungsten used throughout all of these clubs, from a mixture of long iron stopping in the mid, and then the short they tend to remove it. So this is the 200. Up here is the 300, so you can see it moving on another 10 yards. And back there is the 100 by my bag. So this is only one shot. Obviously we'll go and look at the numbers and see how they compare as we, you know, hit bigger batches of shots. But on those incidents, they've stepped exactly as I would expect. Look at that. That's the 300. It's almost 15-20 yards ahead of the one. Woohoo! Power my bat. Obviously bounce, wind, everything else. We'll look at how those numbers come out in a bit more accuracy with, you know, a tighter data capture set as the video goes on. Should we see what the 9 irons do? I've brought all the balls back to the same spot. So T100 9 iron is beautiful. It's a lovely roundish shape, really nice thin top lines, not much sole going on there as well. You know, it feels like it would blend with their specialized wedges really well. 200, to be fair, is a very, very similar shape, maybe a little bit more slender on the top, but beautiful. And then if we go to the 300, yeah, you see a bit more offset, a bit more chunk, but they kind of follow a very similar shape pattern, which obviously you would expect. Again, I'm impressed with the 200. I do, apart from this bit at the back, I think the 200, for like your middle ground club, in arguably maybe the one more people should be testing out the batch, I feel like the 200 is the one with the most game raising. The 300, I've not really seen much difference from prior models. Maybe I just didn't look close enough at it, but you know, the 100 looks great. I'm not putting it down, but if you've already got T100, I don't know why you would go for this one. 200, I think, is a step, and it's stepped slightly towards, in my opinion, the 100. They'll probably tell me I'm completely wrong. That's just what I feel. Apart from that, I don't know if you can hear that. Like, it feels that clippy, plasticky badge on the back. Maybe post comments down below. Do you be a fan of that or not? It just feels, I mean, listen to it. I mean, it's not, it feels slightly cheap. But it looks from here nothing like cheap. Looks great. Right, 134 yards. I'm going to go 100, 200, 300, and now we're controlling distance because we're slightly down breeze. We are uphill. The 100 is going to be not far off the right club. Just need to hit it easy. Can I control the distance with that? Well, yeah, I think I can. 200 next with the badge on the back. Obviously that doesn't affect performance. It might affect, let's do the divide. It might affect sound, which you could say is performance, subject to how dialed into that you are or not. So I haven't hit this one softer. Again, I feel like I can control that. It's a lovely little shape. It does make me feel like I can do what I want with that. It doesn't feel too rockety. 300 to finish. Now we don't have the little button in here for the higher lofted clubs. Get down, get down, get down, bolt. Get down. I mean, I play power bats, so I'm learning how to control them, and I reckon I've hit that closest out of all of them. Maybe long, we'll get up there and see. Definitely clippier in the 3, the 1 is pure, the 2 I don't know with the sound and feel. But yeah, I mean, they're 3 good sets. The jury's just out on that 200 really. That little clippy back, click, click, click badge. So 200 finished the closest, the 300 pitched the closest. So it pitched there, which I'll repair in a second, and then just rolled on. Remember, we are downwind and uphill, so it's coming in a little bit low. Not much, I mean, that is the closest, definitely, but for my dispersion, quality of dispersion, like there's not really, I'm not gonna see much in those if you just keep hitting. And then the 100 was actually the furthest away, but remember, it went first. Thing to remember as well, with the 300, I would have hit a wedge, not a 9. It would have come in with more height, so the same shot basically would have been, you know, the same distance in effect. So for all much of a muchness, apart from what I'm feeling through my arms, really, or through my hands, which I then interpret as feel. Weak putt. So why don't we go and have a look at the numbers of those 3 clubs and see how they're blended. And we'll also talk about, as we come back, could you blend these clubs? So let's start with T100, then we've got T100S, then 200 and 300. T100 is 158, 3 yard standard deviation. That's carry. So around 160 is my 7-iron with a true lofted iron, which I'd say is fair. Spinning at 6.5 outside, that's going to spin over 7,000 revs. Everything in there is very true. T100S, you can see the ball speed just jump up, could be better strikes, slightly lower launch angle, spin comes down, distance jumps up. 9 yards on that occasion, which is fair. I reckon it's 4 to 10 yards max with the T100S to T100. A little bit of quality of strikes between those two, I would argue. You can see the standard deviation is bigger. Titleist 200, standard deviation of 0. I hit them all the same distance. That's hilarious. Very tight batch with the T200. You see ball speeds just jumping up, look, for all of them. 114, 118, 122, because the lofts come down. Launching at 20, the same as the 100S's, but then spinning that little bit less, which is why we squeeze out that extra distance. And the Titleist T300, ball speed's the fastest, launching, staying consistent, apart from the true lofted one is 1 degree higher, which is quite good considering the loft comes down. These are the points about you bunching clubs at the top end. If that launch stays up and the ball speed jumps up, you might be able to find that your 7-iron, 6-iron, 5-iron, 4-iron, wherever you get your bunching at the top, they all start going the same distance. You start seeing some separation. And then the spin's staying consistent with 200 actually. But much bigger standard deviation, so I would set 204 revs to 94, wow, with the T200. So I reckon if you just kept hitting them out and out and out further, you would settle that data how you would expect, knowing those ball speeds are jumping up. I'd expect the 300 spin to stay close to the 200, maybe just dip 100 or so revs below it, and then the turn 177. Carry with the T300 7-iron. These are all 7-irons, but what a 7-iron means anymore isn't really the same as it kind of used to. So be careful with that. You've just got to fix in these launches, these spins, a bit of descent angle with your carries to work out what iron you stop at. Absolutely could start blending these. I honestly believe you could do some really nice blends with those. A little bit more on the T200 sound as I hit indoors. Yeah, it felt fine. It's just when I pulled the ball back and I pulled it back with the back of the club, it made this horrible click. But off the face, it felt and sounded better in here as I hit more and more and more. So you've got to remember they've got, what, 3 new tees, a U, which we'll do a separate review on as well in the utility irons, And then they've still got the MB and CB, so we're talking about 5-stroke 6 irons there, aren't we? So blending, absolutely. You could find a blend in here if you can translate the feel sounds over between each. When I gamed Titleist irons I basically ended up having 2 6-iron, a powerful one which was like a 5-iron. So when you start losing launch, you might trade in some launch helping clubs, because often what happens when people gap test is you get like 7, 6, 5 all start really bunching up, and this is where you can change the loft if they're still high launching and hopefully push those gaps on so you don't get that big bunch up at the end. Now, Titleist have sent me, and I don't know if they've done this just to troll me, jokes, this is a T200 but in a 3-iron. Obviously I don't game anything like this, but again, talking about gapping and those kind of ideas, or blending, you know, these are the kind of clubs you might be thinking of. This looks great, to be fair. That does look very nice. Next to no offset, medium top line. 200 is my most impressed one out of all of them. Just that badge. Can't wait until you see them. But just give them a tap, let me know. I don't know what you'll think of it. I love all this side of it. Right, 3-iron. Every time I hit 3-irons is in reviews, actually. I actually quite enjoy it. I've hit that pretty average, and it's done pretty good, to be fair. I'm just going to hit another one. I called it a bit high toe. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it did feel weak off then, and I don't get a true feel stroke sound, so all I get is the feeling of a bad hit. Hit that much better. Nice little fade. The sound, stroke, I don't know. I don't know if the 200 sounds a bit clumpy or not. I'm going to hit one more. Just going to hit that one off the ground now, not a tee. Driller. Yeah, I mean, the shots are good. We'll hit more. I'm not sure about the sound of these, which means nothing more than you should go and test, because what I feel, or the sound I expect, might be very different to what you expect. So, like, read into that as you will. Oh, I think we have a grouping. Let's look at the grouping there. So 3 pretty different strikes, and you can see how tightly grouped they are for those distances. You know, I'm hitting that 200 uphill, flat. It's going to go anything up to 240 with a bounce, averaging probably 210. Like, I would kill for that dispersion. Right, let's move these on to the 7-iron, because I haven't hit that yet, apart from the first, I hit 1. Right, let's hit the 7-iron. I'm 184 middle, 170 front. So the T100 should get kind of front to just on, subject to bounces. And then in fact the 300 could start 183, 199 back. It should start moving towards the back with these conditions. You see the slight changing in the free soles. Finish fattest medium in the 200 here. I think the 100, for people who want it to look a certain way with a bit of help, it's going to be one of the best clubs out there. 200 definitely, I think, subject to this sound if you like it. Yeah, brilliant looking from this direction. 300's just the powerful one. Would you go Titleist in power bats? I don't know. I kind of feel you have to be a real Titleist fanboy to go Titleist in power bats. Maybe post comments down below, because I do feel no matter how hard Titleist try, this is like they're obeying to their tour kind of shouting a little bit, as in, because so many people do use Titleist on tour, that lots of people associate with this. And I don't think that's a reflection on the product, because I think the product's as good as anything else. I'm just still not sure if people relate Titleist brand to this kind of chunky monkey power bat. Maybe comments down below. Do you? I don't know how they ever get out of that without stop saying they're the #1 thing on thing every time. But yeah, let me know. What do you think? Right, T100. Let's hit it nice and firm. See if we can get it back there. That just feels delicious. Yeah, that's getting to the front edge, just on the front of the green like I'd expect. So that's like 165 to 170. That's gone, which is good for me for a true bladed 7. That just feels so sweet. Right, come on 200. What do you actually feel like? Come on. Felt fine, felt good. Exactly the same shot. And that has just pushed on. We'll show you that one. That one is a little further up. That did sound more true. It didn't sound like the 100 sounds the best, but the best again for what I like a club to sound like. But then again, I use power bats now, so that's all kind of like what I would wish. Really, it's the numbers that would sell it to me, like how it performs in my test. And then the 300, and obviously we do now have this little power button. See, I would say the 300 sounds better than the 200, but the 200 looks well. Oh, that's way up there. Oh, let's show you those. Went straight at the flag with that one. Naughty. I think it's 100 the best feeling, forged, lovely. 300 sounds right. It kind of clips. 200 in the middle. I want it to sound like the 300. Sorry, I want it to sound like the 100. But it sounds, I don't know, muffled, different. It wouldn't stop me buying it when it comes down to looking at it, because I think like anything, you get used to a sound really quickly. And the other thing you got to remember, I mean, I use ZX4s, power bats, make a real like the 300 sound, so they're way away from what I would call the nicest sound, but I just want those numbers. I want those at the moment, those kind of distance, stronger irons. Really, it plays a part maybe, but not the biggest. This is interesting. I thought this one went further on. It's actually shorter. So both of these needed bounces. They were bouncing here, bouncing on. I don't know if you can see down there the 300, but there's a pitch mark by it. So that one has flown again another 10-15 yards on, where the 2 and 1 T200 100 here. Again, you can see your blend, can't you? You can see where a blend might be an option. I'm just going to hit a few chips to finish. I have to say I'm quite impressed. 200 I would hit more, make sure I can, you know, confirm that feel is something that I would happily game. But for me, the 200 on appearance, I like it so much more than where 200 was. I say this in lots of videos that I do as well. When it comes to testing irons, make sure you are testing shots that you play. So just going to hit a 9-iron run with all three. You know, you might find that just one of them feels so horrible when you play like a soft, feely cut shot or a punch draw shots that you might have in your game that you need to play. So many people just go in the, like, you know, on the simulator and just hit standard shots. Don't be afraid to mix it up, even to hitting a few chips. You know, if I feel I can't chip with a power bat, if it just makes my chipping, which is, let's pretend it's a skill, that would be fun, wouldn't it? If it's one of my skills, one of my best parts, then I use a different fat, chunky 9-iron and it now feels not as good. Why would you give that up for the gains in the other department, if they are even gains? So the 100 there just feels bladey, nice, you know. That's going to blend with a specialized wedge really easily. 9-iron run with the 200 next. As I keep saying, 200 looks absolute winner. Just second time, bit better with my feel of distance. Push that up to the hole again. That feels very easy to maneuver. Not really that far away from the 100 in this department. But then when I do go to the 3, you know, it's bigger, it's chunkier. This is now more an 8-iron, so I have to change club. Obviously, that's not a problem. This is, you know, it says 9 on the bottom, but it's probably close to the 8 of those. So I'm now hitting an 8-iron run. It's all these little things you're going to have to relearn if you do make a jump in lofts. Believe me, I've done it. You can see how much lower that's gone in. I'm now trying to read the break a bit better as well. It's interesting how we learn, isn't it? Got it surrounded. So obviously that's an extreme example, like a chip and run, and so many of you wouldn't do that in a studio, which I understand, but that's where if you can just get them on the course and play a few gaming shots, if they've got testing sets or give you a few irons, it's a good thing. You know, they're not cheap, they're a lot of money. Just whacking a few shots in a simulator, yes, that works better for the business model of the pro, I would say. Does it work better for you? Possibly not. You know, just say, can I take a 7-iron out on the course and then try some from downhill lie, semi-rough? Hit a punch, hit a high one, hit a cut one, hit whatever shots you play outside of your standard ones that you've practiced inside. I like them, all three of them. 100, T100s, I'm going to say it's no different, which is fine because it was good anyway. It's a really good club. Their set is different and that's fine. I think it just is really good. Why would really good need to be that much different? The 300 is nice. Again, Oh, I think it's a good blending option. I'm not sure many of you are thinking of Titleist in the chunky monkey market. Maybe you are, let me know down below. It's a good solid entry into that market. But the 200, apart from that slight badgy clip, which I would get over pretty quick, that's the winner for me. As always, post comments down below. Let me know what you think. Will you be testing them or won't you? Are you happy with the irons you've got? 200, I want to know your thoughts on that. I'm intrigued with that one.